It's an NBA Sunday. Let's look ahead. Who can we add in to stream to finish off our week? Get the W. Michael Bolton, how many W's have you got?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and this is a waste of time. We could have been in a bar, having a nice cocktail. We could have had a coffee. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed win or lose. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for checking out LockedOnDaily.com. That is where you're going to go and find the best newsletter for your favorite NBA team. All the info on your team sent to your inbox 5 days a week. Maybe you want to sub to the old Locked On Nets newsletter, and you can find out about the injury diagnosis to Cam Johnson and Cam Thomas. Bad day to be a Cam. Johnson's out at least 3 games. Thomas out for at least another 9 games with a injury. They're calling it a new injury. Yeah, it's the same hamstring, I believe. So is that a new injury or is that just a re-injury? 9 games at least for Cam Thomas. So Keon Johnson's back on the menu, boys. Jalen Wilson, Zaire Williams, both of these guys become more interesting streamers, as does Noah Clowney. There's just a million more shots to go around. So somebody's going to take them. No Johnson, no Thomas. That is a lot of shots. So yeah, you might be disappointed in Clowney. I think you roster him. Keon Johnson can be very inefficient, but there's a chance here. Same with Zaire, although he's still coming off the knee, so I think he's going to be limited. And then Jalen Wilson, who's been pretty disappointing, but there's just so many opportunities over this next 2-3 weeks for a bunch of players to step up into different roles or larger roles and provide us with some short-term fantasy value. That's a little bit of just a quick bit of a news update there. It is Ichigo Day in Japan. I hope that pronounced that correctly. I know I didn't. It's Strawberry Day in Japan, so those of you in Japan or with a hankering for strawberries, go celebrate Strawberry Day as we look ahead to Sunday across the NBA. Let's just take a look at, start off with some schedule situations before we get into the individual points league streamers and category league streamers for those individual categories. We'll start by just looking at who plays the Sunday, Monday back-to-back if you want to get a bit of a head start into Week 12. Also, if you want a head start into Week 12, go and check out my Week 12 preview video. And yes, it's Week 12. I know it's Week 11 on Yahoo. It is Week 12, so we're calling it Week 12. It's a Week 12 preview. Should I say Week 12 again? Week 12 period, which is January 6th through to January 12th. So if you want more info on that, go check out the video. The back-to-backs heading into Week 12 are the Magic and the Kings. We already know that Jalen Suggs is missing one of these games for the Magic. Parlor's missing one of them. Guess they could play on Monday. Mr. Black is dealing with the back problem. We don't know if he's going to be available, so maybe it's Cole Anthony, Tristan Da Silva, Wendell Carter, who could play 35 or could play 17. And in Sacramento, it's Keon Ellis, because Keegan Murray is still dealing with an injury. Trey Lyles has also got an option there, but that gives you that little bit of a boost on Sunday into a boost on Monday as well without using an extra ad. But of course, go to the Week 12 preview and we talk about planning out a stream and how best to value those positions and where we can get the most out of it and strategies, etc., etc., etc. If we want to get chunky, and let's be fair, who doesn't? We all love some chunk in our life. So what about the next 5 days, Sunday through to Thursday? All of these days are streaming days. So if you can get 3 games out of 5 nights, it's a decent use. Remember though, I am talking 3 games in 5 nights. These are the 6 best players that are 60% plus available on Yahoo. But I do want us to focus on minutes a little bit. We want to talk about like 3 games of 10 minutes is not that good, as you're well aware, but it's still 3 games. So if we want to use the very narrow terminology of like, 3 games in 5 nights, it doesn't matter if the player plays 10 minutes. What do you want? You want minutes. You want value. So 3 games, 5 nights. Let's say we want 75 minutes out of it, which I think with all those names there, you're going to get. Yves Missi still sits just narrowly under my criteria. He's 100% rostered on Basketball Monster's advanced roster number, which I think makes sense. He's 39 on Yahoo. So there are going to be some leagues floating around where he's available. So just grab him. Malik Beasley, leaky. Big minutes in the last game with no Jaden Ivey. They started, of course, they did, Wendell Moore Jr. And do you want me to talk about how annoying it is to me that NBA coaches say, Wendell, you're actually not good enough to play for us. We don't want you to play. Please never touch the court. You actually suck. You are one of the worst. But don't ever touch the court. By the way, you're starting the next game. We can't possibly disrupt our bench rotations, which of course is complete garbage because they do. Because did Wendell Moore play the same rotation as Jaden Ivey? Of course he didn't. So they're idiots. Why do they persist with this nonsense? So anyway, Wendell Moore started, but Leaky Beasley and Tim Hardaway got boosts. Asar Thompson did not, and that was the worry as to how the shooting would fit in with Asar in there. And it seems at this point they're viewing Asar Thompson really only as like a power forward, which is not great for where the value lies. Not great at all. The other one is Marcus Sasser, who's into like deep league discussions there. But anyway, we're talking chunks here. Leaky Beasley's the guy who's still available, 60% plus. Grayson Allen, we talked at length about Grayson. In fact, old mate was the cover image of my Week 12 preview show because the Suns have 5 games. And Allen's probably that guy that's floating around that you can really benefit from. He might only play 25 minutes a night, but it's 125 minutes for the week. Plus, we're talking about a 3-game in 4-night period. Bradley Beal might miss one of those. So there is value in Allen. With Quentin Grimes and Najee Marshall, obviously Dallas, 3 games, 5 nights. Luka is out, all of those. But we also got Kyrie Irving popping out of the last game too. So Grimes was great in that game. Dinwiddie's been Spencer Dinwiddie the last 2 games, which of course is bad. He sucked. And then Marshall returns from the suspension. So both of these guys have that stream appeal here. And the last one is Dylan Brooks. Brooksy wasn't super strong in the last game, but we know there is no Jabari Smith. There is probably no Tari Eason. So Brooks has got 3 games, 5 nights, solid role, very strong role. 3 games, 5 nights. For him, that's 100 minutes. It's 100 minutes at least, I would say. That's enough value that you can enjoy it. I hope. Let's look at some stream guys. We'll start with Yahoo points. I've got 6 names for you in differing roster percentage ranges. We will start with the aforementioned Eve Messi and Dylan Brooks. I just spoke about those guys. They're available in 60% plus of leagues still, and they have tremendous value on Sunday for streaming in a Yahoo points league. Malcolm Brogdon's there as well, who is still available in 60% plus. But the guy that is going to be available, or the next 2 guys are going to be available in a lot more leagues because they're single-digit roster percentages. One of them is Cam Whitmore, and one of them is Keon Ellis. Now, we know what Whitmore is. I hope we know what Whitmore is. Whitmore is a player who shoots a lot and scores. He doesn't do really anything else, but he does those things. Oh, actually, it's not true. He can be a sort of a steals-ish. Oh, is he? No. Sorry, my bad. He's not really a huge steals guy. Anyway. But he's going to get volume with no Smith, no Eason, and also no Amen Thompson in this game. I don't think Eason's playing. You are going to get big opportunities for Whitmore to put up big numbers. And in a points league, that volume is so important, and that's where he comes in. So I'm just checking if we've got the official status on Tari. We don't. I've just labeled him as doubtful. Oh, sorry, my bad. Amen is in. My bad. Amen is returning. But we don't have the official Tari Eason status. But even if Eason does return, he's not going to be playing 25 minutes. First game back, this is no way. Last time Tari Eason played, by the way, the 14th of December. So Whitmore was there. Keon Ellis also with a really big role at the moment. Again, I'm not willing to tell you that Doug Christie believes that Keon Ellis is a 33-minute-a-night player because I don't have the evidence of that. He's played him that way, but what is also interesting is for Sunday, De'Aaron Fox is now doubtful with a glute contusion. Keegan Murray is questionable. So at least Fox is missing. So you know there is going to be more here for Ellis to do. Probably means we get a little bit more of Devin Carter as well. So it could be a gigantic Ellis situation here with Fox and potentially Murray. Both Let's be fair, Fox is going to be out and Murray might be out too. And the other one there is Lugan's daughter, name you're going to see a lot splashed across this episode. For ESPN points leagues, it's a bunch of similar names. Eve Messi, Keon Ellis, Dylan Brooks, Cam Whitmore. But because of the extra value afforded to steals and to blocks on the ESPN platform, Cason Wallace does jump ahead here. The fact that he's not probably going to score very much or shoot very much or really be a negative in the percentages, which does impact ESPN points leagues, Wallace gets a bump in that scenario with his ability to get steals. And the other name on there is Karis LeVert, who again can be quite detrimental in terms of shooting percentages and that sort of stuff. But there was a nice game from him last time out. The value looks all right for Keon in that particular scenario. So I think he's going to be worthwhile streaming in this spot on Sunday. Remember, though, it's not really specific to Karis LeVert, but we do have early game. We've got a 3:30 p.m. Eastern game. That is the Celtics and the Thunder. We have 2 6 p.m. games Then we have a 6:30 p.m. game, we have a 7 p.m. game, and then we have an 8:30 p.m. game. So early finish on Sunday, early start on Sunday. Be aware and be prepared for that. We're going to come back and talk Category League streaming in a sec. But today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Yes, the NBA season, and you are basketball fans, I know, because you're watching this show, and there is no better way for you guys to get real money action while watching your favorite NBA stars than with Prize Picks. You just love to get in there and choose those players more or less on their individual stat projections, points or rebounds or assists or steals, blocks, threes. I think they do fantasy points as well. You just need at least 2 of those, and you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. So you can make those predictions, you can make those picks, and you can put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. They've also got the flex play option at Prize Picks. So if one of your picks doesn't hit, you can still get in there and double your money. And when you do win, you get your money fast. Sometimes as fast as 15 minutes is the best way that you can get in there and have that real money sports action. So it's the perfect time to join. Download the app, use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That is right. There's no need to win to get your bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Okay, we should look at category leagues now. We'll go through the main individual categories of guys where, again, some of this it doesn't mean that it's going to happen in this order. We're talking about probabilities and possibilities and opportunities that open up. And if we're looking at the points category, I am going to start with 2 Houston Rockets players because there is that absence created by Jabari Smith being out. They did start Jeff Green last game, which again was very comical, but Amen Thompson returned, so I don't think we're going to get as much Jeff Green here. But both Cam Whitmore and Dylan Brooks are going to get more minutes, more opportunities, and they can score. So they're at the top of the list in terms of streaming in for points. Malcolm Brogdon also a really solid option there. It does drop off quite a bit after that. This is where you can get a little bit of the differences, I guess, in terms of how you want to approach it. Because if you want stability, a consistency in points, like Yves Missi will give you, say, 9 to 12. Let's use that as a range. 9 to 12 points. You feel pretty confident about that narrow range of points. Not very much. Lou Dort, probably a little bit less reliable, but it's in that mix as well. He might give you 10 to 14 or 8 to 14 or something, which, okay, a relatively solid range. But if you need to swing for the fence, old mate Tristan da Silva might give you 0, or he might give you 25. And we've seen it. Just look at his game log. I believe the game log is like 25-0, 22-3 or something. Because if he misses a few shots, he gets Mike Brown, and I know the coach is Jamal Mosley. I do know now after I called him, what did I call him? I can't remember the other guy, Jacques Vaughn. Jamal Mosley, if he misses shots, he doesn't play him. And if he hits shots, he does play him. So you've got 25-point upside with Tristan da Silva, or he might miss all 4 of his shots and play 10 minutes. Yep, that is a possibility. And looking at those different approaches is going to depend a lot on where you're at. Are you way up in front in points and you just need to keep just steadily building? So in case your opponent really goes off, you can hold him off. Or are you behind and go, well, I just need some miracles to hit. And then you take the Da Silva over a Missi just because the difference is it's important. And that upside value, it's way less likely that Yves Missi is going to connect and get 25 points, but Da Silva could. The 3-pointers. Quite a bit of correlation between points and threes. Obviously, they're both a form of scoring. Dylan Brooks, Lou Dort, Budrick Hield. Now, he's terrible, as we are well aware, but it's always possible the Bud can hit 6. Always possible. It's also possible he hits 0 because he's bad, but he can hit 6. Whereas like Brooks and Dort, or Brooks maybe less so, but it's very interesting to see Brooks and Dort both there. So, Midwest Dylan Brooks and Texas Lou Dort on the same list together. But they can hit 4 or 5 threes. They can also hit 0. Then you've got Sam Hauser, who's back. He's been bothering him, but 18, 19 minutes, he can have the 15 points and 5 threes. He can have 9 points and 3 threes. He can go 0-6 for 0 points. So there's upside with that. Then Keon Ellis and Max Strus. Well, Keon Ellis, a little bit different again. Is he a high-volume 3-point guy? No, but we think he's probably going to play 36 minutes, so that's enough. Like, we get 1 or 2. Yeah, like a nice floor value. And then Strus, a little bit different. That's where he's going to take the most of his shots. Higher upside than probably a Sam Hauser as well, but that's not his entire game anymore. It used to be. It's not his entire game anymore, though. We got a rebound, so we're heading to the bigs. Missi sits at the top of this list, and Wendell Carter's there, but yeah, I wouldn't have confidence in him. We've seen it. Like 35 minutes as a starting power forward. Next game on the bench, 17 minutes reserve center. It appears, and that can change, but it appears at this point that if Wendell Carter comes off the bench, he plays no power forward minutes. If Wendell Carter starts, he plays power forward and center. But if he comes off the bench, he doesn't play with Goga at all. That is how it has gone so far. So you want to see their lineup. Now, Jalen Suggs, probably not going to play. Mr. Black may not play. So you'll get Cole Anthony and KCP, and you get De Silva in there. But who's the other one? Last game, it was Caleb Houston. He could be a 3-point stream option as well. But you just never know what they're going to do with it. So Carter's a risky one. I've also got BDNR Nick Richards here. Now, Nick Richards doesn't do very much. He is Mark Williams' backup. But the reason I'll put Richards here is that if he plays 15 minutes, he can still get 5 rebounds. And it's not easy to find big rebound guys. But there's always a risk of anyone getting injured, like Mark Williams, who just left to the locker room last game. And if Richards plays more, there's double-digit upside. Trey Lyles should play more, especially if Keegan Murray is out. Now, if we do hear that Keegan is out, Lyles' value will jump higher than this because he'll probably play 26 to 30 minutes. You got Justin Champagny, whose value would also rise if Bilal Coulibaly would be out, because I would expect that it'll be Kuzma and Bilal at 3 and the 4, and Champagny off the bench otherwise. And then there is Lou Dort, which again is a different sort of a story. It's not a double-digit rebound upside, but it's probably just 5. It's 4 or 5. It's 4 or 5. It's 4 or 5. And that's solid. That's value. But Wendell Carter might be 7 or 8, or he might play 17 minutes to get 2. Whereas with Dort, you've got a pretty good confidence in what the role is going to be. For assists, it's not the worst grouping of assist players. It's not awesome, obviously. Karis LeVert is there. I've got Malcolm Brogdon, who is a very good assist streamer, and Brogdon honestly should just be on rosters. But he's not everywhere, so look, we include him here. I've got Bub Carrington, who's really, outside of getting 5 or 6 assists, doesn't do anything else. And that doesn't make him a must-roster player, but there's enough value in him there. Strus has been getting some nice out-of-position assists. I think he had like 7 assists and 8 rebounds last game. But he's a nice, interesting out-of-position assist player. And then the two at the bottom there could easily be at the top. If LaMelo Ball doesn't play, Vasiljevic moves to the top. Now, he's been also terrible and can't hit a shot, but you can get 6 to 7 assists pretty easily. And the other name there, which I should have probably included on the points and threes list, is Cole Anthony. Because if there's no Jalen Suggs, and there's not, if there's no Mr. Black, then Cole Anthony's going to be the starting point guard. He's going to play 30-plus minutes. He's going to have to take a lot of shots because Suggs is doing all of that. And that would make Anthony basically the best streamer of the day. But at this point, we don't really know. Are they going to start him? Because they've been very hesitant to do it. Do they start Anthony Black? I don't know. I do think that Cole he's obviously a higher upside player to me than Anthony Black is. But we've seen them bury him a million times. And they could do it again. So don't go into it with Cole Anthony thinking that it is like a guarantee that he's able to do this. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL playoffs, big upsets, game-winning drives. It's all better, though, with FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That is $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything that you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. You can get in there and check out your team making the playoffs. What are they going to do in Week 18? What's going to happen in Round 1 or Week 1 of the playoffs, wildcard round? You bet on the game, the total, the spread, touchdown scorers, individual team points. It's all there on FanDuel. And right now, if you are a new customer, wow, that deal's fantastic. So go to FanDuel.com, join today, and get $200 in bonus bets. And all you got to do is just place a $5 bet. FanDuel.com. Make the playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. Let's round out the last few category league categories to talk about. We go to steals, and of course it is Keon Ellis right at the top here. Cason Wallace, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Jose Alvarado. This is a recurring theme this season, is that finding 2, 3, 4, 6 steal upside players on the waiver wire, actually pretty easy. There's so many of them all the time, they're popping up. Now, Dyson Daniels is getting us 3 a game, and yeah, he was a waiver wire guy for some at the start of the season. Should have been drafted in all leagues, but wasn't. But these guys are everywhere. They're everywhere. You can get steals off the wire relatively easily. The other name I've got on there is BJ Boston after that Ellis, Wallace, Caldwell-Pope, Alvarado grouping. BJ Boston's been pretty solid on steals. And then there's Lou Dort. Again, that's the majority of Dort's value is in getting steals. So there are a lot of different price point options there. And by price points, I mean roster percentage of guys that you can stream in that you have very good confidence will get 1, but could get 3 or 4. Now, of course, with steals, they're quite variable and it's very easy to get zeros in them. But a lot of high steal upside players there. Blocks, less so. Yves Misi's probably still the best shot blocker. Maybe you get the occasional 5-block game, but he's more of a 1 guy. John Isaac's a 3-block upside player. Then you get to Keon Ellis and Cason Wallace. Again, they are not going to be big shot blockers. They've had multi-block games. I think Ellis had a 5 and Wallace had a 3 at some point. But you're getting the steals. With Ellis, you're getting 3s and some assists. With Wallace, you're getting assists, but you also get the out of position 1 to 2 blocks. 2 of the better shot blocking guards. Al Horford's not really doing huge amounts, but he's going to play, so that's a bonus. And you might get 1 to 2. And the other one is BDNR, who might get you a block. Nick Richards, the minutes are lowish, but it does tail off quite a bit when we're looking at the blocks category. For field goal percentage, a lot of carryover between those 2 categories. So Misi and Richards at the top there. Wendell Carter also there. Wendell Carter has more of a propensity to fall off, though. And then we get to some weirder ones, which are sort of perimeter players. But yeah, I could have said, hey, Steven Adams. But he might take 1 shot. He might hit it, but what does that do? And again, this all comes down to what you're trying to achieve for the week. Are you trying to give a safety to your team? Well, finding a 2 of 2 field goal guy just to give you that little boost might be interesting and hope your opponent has a bad day. If you need to catch up, you need more volume and hope they have hot nights. And guys like Champagny, Brogdon, and Kispert, all in Washington, by the way, which is weird, but they're all probably above average field goal percentage guys for their positions and above average for a standard fantasy league, so above 48%, around 49 to 50%. They can shoot as a general rule, so that gives them appeal in that area. It is much easier to find good free throw shooters off the waiver wire. Now, they're not going to be particularly high volume, but a few of the guys I'm going to mention have had some high volume games this season. Number 1 on that list is Malcolm Brogdon. Yes, he is rostered in a lot of spots, but not everywhere. Second, Max Christie. We saw when Anthony Davis returned in the last game that Christie wasn't able to duplicate his heroics from the game before. That's okay. He remains a 14-team league guy to hold, but in terms of streaming for free throws, he's hitting them at 87%, I think, this season. Whatever it is, it's a high number. KCP, he had, didn't he have a double-digit free throw attempt game not long ago? And with Suggs and Wagner, that's a Bunkero-Wagner combination. With all those guys out, can he actually take more shots? I don't know. Dylan Brooks, also a pretty good free throw guy. Then there's 2 of these players who are bench guys who could get hot, but are good free throw guys. And Bryce Sensabaugh could easily have 7 free throw attempts. He could also play 10 minutes, but he could easily have 7. And then Jordan Hawkins as well, not doing very much, but a 3 of 3 night is totally possible for Namur legend Jordan Hawkins to provide enough value for us in that position. So that's the streaming on Strawberry Day for Sunday. Remembering, though, we're just waiting on a few things. The Cole Anthony one is really interesting. Keon Ellis and maybe Trey Lyles in Sacramento with the potential of Keegan being out. What on earth happens in Houston depending on the status of Tyree Eason? So many things are going to show themselves, and just keep an eye on those injuries. But the biggest one, and the absolute rock-solid guarantee guy to look at in Orlando is going to be Cole Anthony if Anthony Black is out. Because then they have no other option. They really don't have any other option to get shot attempts anyway, but they have gone away from that so many times. But there are a million options, or there are a million shot opportunities now in Orlando for someone to really, really step up. So just be aware of that. Be aware of where your thumb is, and just press it on the old like on this video. That would be great. And again, let's keep the good times rolling. Let's keep the positivity up there, and let's always remind ourselves about a good thing that we did. Keep it small, keep it big, whatever. But, yeah, even if you think that it's bad, even if you think that you're bad, it's not all bad. There's always a good thing, and we build on it. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.